Welcome to another Rootin' Tootin' tutorial. This is Kai from the University of Metastudies.com, also known as Aquamaster, and here we are doing another tileable texture. You know how these go. These can be used on NFTs. You can even print them out for real, use them as a real wallpaper or on a real textile or a garment. But this is just basically, I'm using them for 3D objects. And here I am making a bunch of layers, and the layers are for different spots. We're doing a jaguar pattern. It could be a cheetah, I'm not really sure. I think it's a jaguar. So I looked at jaguar spots, and I'm just going from memory here, making a bunch of different versions of the same thing on different layers. I'm using pink ink because I like to see what I'm doing. It's really bright. It stands out. It's like a highlighter color. So these aren't sketches. I'm just going for the final outlines. You can see all of them there superimposed, and I'm turning them all black. And this image is at 4096 by 4096 pixels at 300 dpi. That gives me about a 13-inch printout if I was going to print it out in real life. And here I am sizing them down. Because of the resolution of the image, I want to size those outlines down to make them all fit. And I drew them rotated already, so I didn't really need to rotate them. I'm making them all black and now filling them in. I'm using a separate layer underneath the line work, and that's so it looks cleaner when I just use the paint bucket or the fill tool, whatever you want to call it, to just fill in the outlines. And they're all cleaned up, so they all fill in perfectly well. And I like using a slightly different black or navy blue, so it's not a completely solid color. So the outline has a slightly darker hue, maybe, tone. And now that's them in wraparound mode. Wraparound mode is essential for what we're doing here, making these tiled textures. And you actually have to use wraparound mode, which you can get into. Shift W is the hotkey for wraparound mode. So you go into wraparound mode and then you place them. You can use I think you can use either, well, you should probably use the move tool. Use the move tool to actually move them while in wraparound mode. And then you can take your outlined, and what I do is I actually merge the outlines and the fills, the color fills, so it's one layer, because then that way you can just move it as one layer. You kind of have to do that. It has to be one layer when you move it in wraparound mode. And then what that does is when you move it, it actually moves the entire thing onto the other edge, basically. So that way you don't have to draw it in wraparound mode. If it's something like this, like an animal texture with a lot of different spots that are essentially different versions of the same thing. So now I'm just using an actual brush in wraparound mode to just manually fill in the inside of the spot with a different color. And there I am toggling in and out and back into wraparound. And you can see in wraparound here how basically we have it already. We pretty much have our design, our animal texture, animal skin pattern. I don't even know what that is. Are there jaguar spots? Or maybe those are cheetah spots right now. It sort of depends, right? I don't know. Anyway. So what I'm doing here is I'm just filling them all in and making sure they're all placed where I want them to be. And I think I'm actually coloring in on the color layer. Or no, I'm using a different layer beneath it. But what I do is then if I want to move it around, I have to, well, no, I think at this point it wasn't even bothering moving them around. See, if I want to make a new one, I have to copy the fill layer and then move that in wraparound mode where I want. And then I'm coloring in on the yellow dot layer, basically, beneath. And that's it out of wraparound mode. So you can see how it looks as just as just an image, you know. And again, positioning things. You can position things all you want out of wraparound mode if it doesn't hit the edge, but to actually hit the edge and have it carry over, you need to be in wraparound mode. So here I am adding more spots just to fill it out a little bit more and make it a more dense pattern. See, that's if you're in wraparound mode, sometimes it'll do some funky things and you might have to manually blend an edge or fill in an edge or something. the paint, I think I explained this in my other tutorial, but the paint bucket tool doesn't work in wraparound mode. It'll stop at the edge, so you have to, for one contiguous thing, even in wraparound mode, you'll have to hit the paint bucket tool twice. Not really an issue for paint bucket functions, but it is an issue more so for gradients and things like that. So here we are, basically we have the pattern. Once we fill in the background and have as many spots as we want and have the spots moved into the right place and positioned correctly, and we have our yellow inside dot drawn, and here I am playing, I'm trying to see if any of the layer styles will work. Unfortunately, the layer styles don't really work because you hit the edge and you can see a grid. It creates a sort of grid. So back to the drawing board, never mind that. We're going to see, I'm trying to do an outline. It would be really cool if you could use the stroke there to get an outline around it, but it was, I don't know. Actually, I could probably do it and then just erase. I don't know why I didn't think of that. You could just manually fix it with the brushes, because the brushes do work in wraparound mode. So next time I'll do that. I'll just use the stroke layer style. But here we go. So what I am doing to get some extra texture out of this particular piece is I'm using the watercolor brush to go in and color on top of the yellow dot. And that just gives the inside of the animal dot, whatever that part of the pattern is called, giving the inside of that dot a little bit more texture, and it's making it look a little bit more interesting, basically. So I don't know why I went pink. Pink was kind of a weird extreme color. Definitely not realistic, obviously. But it was just an aesthetic choice, I guess. And here I am just doing more with, what is that? I don't know, like the sponge tool or something. Or some kind of like chalk. I think that's the chalk tool. And here I am trying to blend it. So I'm trying to make the background a little bit more interesting to look at. And to be honest, I'm just guessing. Most of what I do here, it's not exactly like I have a real Bob Ross style where I'm, have a technique for everything. I'm kind of just randomly going by what I think will look good, just calculating it on the fly. My brain is basically just going, what brush is going to achieve what I think I want it to look like. So I'm adding some other colors, playing with the layer styles, trying to get the background a little bit more interesting, as well as the foreground. I'm deciding whether I like that pink highlight of the dots or not. And I'm thinking, I could go either way with it. I could turn it white and make it more of a highlight, and I guess make it more of a realistic looking thing, or not. So here I am. I think I finished with that, and there we go. That's it. And here's the final. This is what it looks like. I basically just went with a watercolor in the background orange and left the pink. And thank you very much. That is it. Enjoy my NFTs, and please visit universityofmetastudies.com for more informative articles and content. Thank you.